Hello. Today I thought I'd put together just a little centerpiece delivery design idea for Halloween that uses some of the funky new interesting bits and bobs that we've got and combines them all together. Just because we've got such fun things, it's nice to try and mix and match them as much as we can. So we started off with this rather lovely iridescent leopard print pumpkin, which is kind of funky and off the wall on its own, but then to try and mix and match things and put it together into a design was quite an interesting challenge. So we've got the leopard print 5-inch Sempertex balloons here from the animals assortment, and although these are on gold, if you double stuff into a blue crystal, then surprisingly it comes out looking very much like that and will tone in quite well. So that was one of the starting points. Just do that quickly so you can see how that works quite well alongside the pumpkins. It doesn't pick up the purple, but we'll bring that in another way, but it does pick up nicely on the blue. And then I found this little character here. She's quite fun, and if you can see from the hat, the colours on her hat match really well here, so that pulls that in nicely. And a few other little ideas that we'll put together with it, and we'll see how it works out at the end, but I quite like the end result of it. So we're going to start off by making a simple multi-purpose base that are used for so many different designs. And I'm going to use 5-inch balloons and make just a double layer cluster. So we'll take a double stuffed there, as we did before, and size it to 5 inches, make it a little bit bigger than you want, and then downsize it so it's nice and round. This is reflex violet, so then we start to get the colours pulling together. So again, 5-inch. We'll put that with the black because that picks up on details in the witch, and with pastel matte green, which is a good match for the face of the witch. So those are the 4 colours that we'll use there. Just make a simple cluster of 4, and then we'll do it again at 4 inches. So once again, double stuff the animals into the crystal blue. And the reflex violet. Down to 4 inches. Tie the 2 together, and then another duplicate with the pastel matte green and the black. And once again, twist those in, and then we're simply going to match up the colours there. Take a neck from the lower cluster, pull it up through the centre of the higher cluster, wrap it around a couple of times, and that will be enough to secure it all together. Now we just need to give it a little bit of stability with a small weight. So as we've done so many times before, just a large marble or small stone or something like that inside a 5-inch balloon, and pull that up through the middle, and again round a few times to make sure it doesn't go anywhere, and that will just give it the necessary amount of weight to hold it down and make it sit straight on the table. Then got a crystal clears petite. This is the purple one, and I want to put the mini shape witch's head inside here. So first thing to do is to remove the valve. So if we put some some air into it first, pinch the seams together, cut diagonally across the neck like that, and give it a squeeze. The valve will come out nice and easily. I'm taking off the sticky label as well, because that always seems to get in the way when you want to tie it off. And then I'm going to inflate it fully, just to stretch it out. Oops. Just hang on to it for a second or two so that it can relax. And then we're going to roll up the mini shape head so that it goes in quite easily. So that should be fine. Let that deflate now. And I'm just going to fold the top in to shorten it and then roll it from one side to the other to make it easy to insert inside the clears. Put that in through the neck. There it goes. Push that inside. And then line up the hole there, the opening in the mini shape. Try and get it as close into the balloon as you can, because you don't want it sticking out. Make sure that you grip the thing nice and tightly so that the balloon doesn't fall inside. And by stretching out the clears first, we should have just enough room to be able to inflate the mini shape like that. And then we need to heat seal it. Now, heat sealing can cause people quite a lot of bother. It's actually really simple, or at least I think it's really simple, as long as you remember a couple of things. Firstly, you need to give the seal time to cool down. If you heat seal it and immediately release the pressure in the balloon will just force the seal open again, so you need to give it time to cool. You also need to make sure that the tail is completely flat before you try and heat seal it. So don't hold it here, because the tail will be full of air, and when you put that in the heat seal you'll get wrinkles in it. Hold it there, flatten all of the air out of it like that, and then put it in the heat sealer and press down. You should be able to just literally press and hold, but I like to give a little bit of extra security to it by pushing down and then pulling on the balloon so that it slides through the sealer and you get a nice wide seal instead of just one single one, and you can see immediately then whether you've got any creases running through that seal. If you have, do it again. If you're okay with it, it's perfectly flat, then having given it time to cool, you'll find that it's fine, and that should stay up now almost forever. Now we can inflate the clears again without worrying about the mini shape. There we go. I'm going to twist this around, twist the neck several times, and you could use a piece of ribbon, a modelling balloon, all sorts of things to seal it with. I'm actually going to use a 5-inch balloon because I happen to have one lying around, and it doesn't really matter what you use, but just wrap it around nice and tight a few times, tie it off like so. And then this modelling balloon, this 5-inch balloon now is just long enough to be able to use that to tie it into the base. Put it down, round and round a few times, and there it sits nice and tight. And then just to finish this bit, we're going to use a 260 reflex violet, inflated almost fully, got a nice little tail on this end here, which I can wrap into the centre of this cluster to hold it in place. Now what I've done is to line up the mini shape with the seam so that the seam is here and not across the front. And it's quite easy to do that if you inflate it the way I've just done inside the balloon before you inflate the clears. You can adjust things. So it now faces nice and straightforward. I take this around here to hide the seam, twist it off when it's done, remove the excess and tie. And then there'd be no need for any kind of adhesive or anything like that, because you can use this bit here to pull through. So that it sits nice and firmly around the outside of the clears. And there we go. Yep, that's it. We'll just put that to one side for the moment. Now we need to add some extra details. So I'm going to create a pumpkin using a 12-inch leopard print and the 12-inch crystal blue. So it's the same as this here, but bigger. We need to make sure this is well soft, properly relaxed, so that we can get the maximum effect from it. So I'm going to inflate it and deflate it several times just to keep it, just to give it that, you know, extra stretch. Pull the foot pedal over, sorry. Okay, inflate. Let it down. And do that 2 or 3 times to stretch it out as much as I reasonably can. And yeah, I should do it. I'm actually going to clip it closed. This is a bag clip, the sandwich bag clip. Ever so useful for holding balloons to give them time to relax, so that you can put it to one side and let it do its own thing as it relaxes. Right, purple curling ribbon. 4, 6, 8. 8 lengths, well, 8 pieces. Cut that off there like that. And I'm going to tie them all together here. And then go down. Work out how big I want this to be. Approximately there, I think. And then tie it again. This is going to make a cage around that balloon into which we can slightly overinflate it to get the shape of a pumpkin. So as long as that length there is less than the finished inflated size of the balloon, you're going to be fine. That will give us a circle about that size, so that's about right. Now I can deflate this. Put it inside here, stretch the ribbons around. You need to be able to have a little bit of tension on it, obviously, because otherwise it's just going to fall off. But not too much, because otherwise you won't be able to manipulate it. Okay, and make sure that the neck of the balloon is close to one of the knots. Then I can put my bag clip back on it again to hold it while I move the ribbons around. So we would need to separate these now so that they're reasonably evenly spaced around the outside of the balloon. Like so-ish. Don't have to be completely precise, but the more evenly spaced they are, the better the result will be at the end. Yep, that's about right. So now remove the clip and carefully inflate your balloon so that it bulges out between the pieces of ribbon that you've just positioned. Don't go too much, because you'll put too much strain on the ribbon and on the balloon. Just enough to get the pumpkin shape that you want, and then you can tie it off. Okay, there we go. Can now remove the excess ribbons we don't need anymore. So I've now got a toning, it tones in together with all of that, works quite well together. Need some kind of detail on the top, so here's another little trick. Florist stub wire, quite a long one. I'm just taking a little pair of pliers, needle nose pliers, to just bend the end round into a loop so that there's no sharp points, because that's going to go into a modelling balloon. Okay, so we put this into here, stretch the balloon over like so and off the end. You only really want to use about half of the balloon or so that it's stretched nice and tight. Tie that off and cut off the excess. I'll do it again with a black one. Inside there, and tie it off. Got myself in a bit of a knot there somehow. That's okay, got it. Right. And then remove the excess. Then if you take this and wrap it around something, this is just a marker pen, so hold it there and just spiral your wire all the way around till you get to the other end, and then unwrap it again. You get these great spirals that make really good pumpkin curls if you bend them into shape like that. And then again with the black one, unwrap it, and I'm going to bend it in half so that I've got two curls for each piece of wire. And these you can very, very simply but carefully tuck underneath the ribbons, and that will hold them nicely in place. Like so. And we've got our curls on the top of the pumpkin. Now we do need that to sit somewhere because obviously it's now quite top heavy. We could glue it to this, stick it down with tape or anything along those lines, but quite honestly I think it would be quite nice to add a little bit of extra detail with an inflated pastel matte green 260, and we're going to make 2 loops like that. I'm also then going to cover the join with a reflex violet. Well, I need to make some very small bubbles out of this, so blow it up big, let it down really small, tie it close to the end, to the neck roll, rather than close to the balloon. So kind of against everything that you're used to doing, tie it there, and that makes it really, really squashy, and then we can twist that in half. So I'm pushing the neck into the center there, twisting it in half, and if you've made it squashy enough you can then twist it again. I'm just using the neck there to tie it so it doesn't come undone. But now we can do this again with each half there, and there. And then we've just got a very small little cluster of bubbles that will sit on there really well and just hide the join between the two. That will sit like so. The pumpkin will now sit nicely in there. These two are going to form the weight for a helium bouquet. So just to tie and finish it all off, we're going to double stuff again, another 12-inch leopard into crystal blue, helium fill that to its full size of 11 inches. Yeah, purple ribbon. Tie it off. And I want to add a little bit of extra detail under here so that it matches in with everything else. So we'll just make a small cluster of a single 5-inch pastel matte green. So same process as before, but this time I'm only going to twist it once, and like that, and that will sit underneath here. It just hides the knot, makes it look tidier, and gives it a little bit of extra interest. 12-inch reflex violet. And then the same again. This time I'll put a black one under it, I think. So we'll use the 5-inch black. And finally, I'm going to use the larger version of the witch head. This is a standard shape. And we'll just change the nozzle on the end of the inflator. It's really cute, and I just really like the way this shades across and picks up on those colours there, which is kind of basically what gave the whole inspiration for the thing in the first place. Attach that to your ribbon, and just for consistency I'll add a little duplicate underneath here as well. And the colour that's missing is the reflex violet, so we'll just tuck that under. Now, because I'm attaching it to a foil which doesn't have a great deal of lift, I know it doesn't really make a lot of difference, but I'm going to cut off what I don't need just to reduce the weight as much as I possibly can. So it's a almost insignificant amount, and it won't really make any difference at all to the weight, but every little will help. And then we'll just wrap that under here, which will also hide the neck of the balloon quite nicely. I'll just move all this out of the way so that we can bring it back into the centre of the table. Move this here. I'm going to actually I'm going to turn that around. I think I'm going to put it like that, so this sits a little bit further back. I'm going to use this one as the weight for the bouquet. Tie the ribbons together. Attach them around the neck of the pumpkin. And this one will sit in there, and this one just on its side there. And there we have it. I'm calling this one the Wild Witch.